Morning everyone, welcome to another video. We're going to be swathing some barley this morning. We got about 40 acres to drop. I think we would have liked to straight cut it, but it's just not maturing at an even rate throughout the field, so we got to end up swathing it. I'm going to go check the oil in our MacDon swather, get that thing started so it can warm up, and then we're going to go check out the feed mill setup and see what they did there all yesterday. It's probably going to be, again, the biggest update. They stacked those two grain legs up, put them up with a big crane, and it was a pretty awesome day yesterday here because of that. But first we're gonna get this thing going. Well, it's looking like we actually got to add some engine oil to this thing before we get it going. It's below the fill level, so better do that. So we're gonna put the oil in here. That's the cap that covers it. It always usually says what type of oil you got to put in there on top of it. Typically for an engine, it's 15W40 for a big diesel engine. I'm never 100% sure though, so I'm going to quickly check the manual. Just found it in the manual. It does indeed take 15W40. Awesome, we got that oil topped off. Now we can start this thing. So while that swather is warming up, we can take a look at our feed mill setup, which had a lot done to it yesterday. Those two grain legs were stood up and fastened down. Now you can really start to see this thing taking shape. It's unreal how big this thing is. Growing up as a kid, I never thought we'd have something like this on our farm, but here it is now. It's pretty crazy. So still that televator is now going to be hooked into the bottom of the grain leg right here. So this is going to be what fills the grain leg. These buckets will be pulling everything up, and then that televator will go in and out on this concrete pad. Trucks will drive by, dump into that televator into the grain leg, and from the grain leg it'll go into these bins here for storage. So getting a lot easier to explain how this is all gonna come together now. You can also see at the bottom of these 4 storage bins, there's a special kind of hopper, and that's so that it can be hooked to a drag. So there's gonna be kind of a, I don't know, another bucket drag underneath these 4 bins that go into the side of that hammer mill shed for the hammer mill. This grain leg was big enough that we could justify putting a tower around it, and it's just a galvanized steel tower. It's got 4 anchor bolts into this concrete here in each corner. Doesn't seem like a lot to hold this entire tower to the ground, but those are deep anchor bolts. I believe they're like 12 inches long. This concrete is thicker than a foot, and then there's some 8-foot piles that go deep into the ground, so should be strong enough, I guess. I'm not the expert. Sure is cool though. So that's this grain leg. It's gonna feed the 6 bins here. And then this is the smaller grain leg. It's still pretty tall. I believe this one is 60 foot or 65 foot tall maybe. And this one was small enough where they could just use these cables to strap it down. Pretty interesting. Some of the cables are on tops of bins, and then the other cables from the top actually go to our machine shed, which is just over there. We can go look at the brackets. I guess the side of this grain leg is still open. You can see the buckets here, a lot smaller than the big buckets on that grain leg. But yeah, this one's just gonna go up and into these 4 bins here. This grain leg also has a few more platforms for when you're going up the ladder. It's got the first one, the second one, the third one underneath the distributor, and then the 4th platform is all the way at the top there, so you can work on the electric motor that's up there. That's a lot, whereas the other grain leg, which is funny because it's 20 foot taller than this one, it only has the one in the middle and then the one all the way at top. So you don't get so much of a break. I went up halfway yesterday, and man, is it nice to have that break. You're gassed. I didn't expect to be that tired by the time I only got halfway up that grain leg, but it's tiring, that's for sure. So you can see the top of the grain leg there, and there's a cable to the side of our machine shed. They bolted these on the day before. They're pretty big brackets. There's 6x6 poles right on the other side of the shed wall, so it's pretty strong. Those are bolted all the way through those posts, and there's 2 of these brackets on the side of our machine shed that hold that sucker down. So you guys know exactly what's going on then with the grain legs. I got the drone up in the air quite a bit yesterday. So the first drone shots I'm going to show you guys are lifting the tower. That's the first thing they lifted yesterday once the crane showed up. They put that up, and then they actually lifted the bigger grain leg into the tower after it was standing there. So we'll first show the tower going up. So that was the tower being set up. They stay attached with the crane for long enough to where they can bolt and fasten everything down properly. But then after that tower was put in place, they had to lift the grain leg into the tower. This is an 80-foot tall grain leg and a 60-foot tower. So what they ended up doing was they removed one of the cross beams here from all the way up top, and then they were only needing to lift over 40 foot of the tower instead of 60 foot. So they lifted this 80-foot grain leg 40 foot in the air so they could drop it in nicely into this tower. It was pretty crazy. Here's the drone shots. So that gives you guys a bit of an idea on how they set these things up. It was a pretty exciting and fun day to watch those things go up. Took them all day pretty much. I just watched the big grand leg in the morning. I didn't see the red one go up. But yeah, pretty cool, pretty stressful. Seeing that big sucker go that high in the air. But it was definitely entertaining. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna grab a coffee and we're gonna head out to the field and drop some barley. Well, we made it out to the field. This field's a mile long, so 1.6 kilometers. That's only like 200 yards wide, so it's not too big at all. It's a long swath. So anyway, we got started. We're out here. This is the barley crop. You guys can see it almost looks ready to combine in some spots, but the reason why we are swathing it, it's kind of inconsistent. There's some stuff that's not ready to go yet, some stuff that is. And also you can see a lot of these heads of barley are starting to kink over. Now that's because the head of barley is quite heavy and the stem starts to weaken as it matures and it starts to way over, starts to kink. Eventually what's going to happen, this is actually just going to break off and it's going to fall on the ground, and then once it's on the ground, that's a lost yield. So we're never going to be able to pick that up. That's gone, and that's why we're coming out here swathing it. This is going to make sure that it's all ready to combine at the exact same time. Really trying to lay a smooth swath here. I think this is looking pretty good. Swather's doing good. Didn't plug up once on that first swath, and it was on the edge of the field. It's probably gonna be some of the heaviest stuff we swathed this morning. But yeah, you can see in this sprayer track here, some of the barley's a little further behind. So if we swath this, give it a week, this might dry out. Right on the Carrigana tree row right now, and this is some pretty nasty stuff. You can see some of it is still standing nicely, the other bit has just been blown down, and that's because it got a little bit too tall here in the summer, and then it rained pretty heavily, and the combination of the rain and the wind just pushed it down on the ground. Terribly difficult to cut, and your swath is never going to be smooth in a spot like this. It's not a lot of fun at all. See, a lot of it's still green because it slows the growing down. It takes so much longer to mature. You also never get all the heads off too, so you lose quite a bit of yield on these spots, and you run the risk of plugging up the swather pretty easily. Also, to help with cutting these down spots, you always turn the reel speed up a little bit, and that kind of can whack the heads off of the good standing stuff. So you're constantly adjusting the reel speed, the reel height, the reel distance. You're just constantly working the swather, trying to cut as much as you can of the down stuff and take care of the stuff that's still standing up. Luckily, this swather is incredibly versatile. I can lift the reel, I can drop the reel, I can bring the reel forward, I can back the reel off, I can speed it up, slow it down. I can adjust the angle of which the table is at, the height of which the table is at. I can adjust the speed of the drapers. So using all those tools, you're almost always able to lay a nice smooth swath no matter which condition you're in. Awesome, we finished dropping that field. There was almost 50 acres, so a little bit more than we thought, but it's lunchtime now. It's now the afternoon. We're grabbing group one, bringing them to the holding area. Neline, my sister, is in the parlor. She's gonna be milking this afternoon. I'm scraping the alleys and putting sand in the beds. Let's get these ladies up in the holding area, then I can get to work. Well, ladies, the problem that we've been having is we've been trying to milk too many cows maybe, but they're not really fitting in the holding area anymore. The parlor fits 24, the holding area fits about 124, but we got maybe 3 or 4 more cows than that in the barn right now per side. So what I've been doing, I've just been closing this gate right here. It leaves this area open in front of the holding area, so we're not pushing cows in. You could make it fit, but it's just not comfortable, and it's kind of a struggle, so might as well make it a bit easier on me and the cows. So we got our new washer and dryer set up. It took a little bit longer to get this washer set up than we initially wanted because the concrete block underneath was too small. Now we're just gonna load it up. It's a commercial washer, so everything's like super heavy and strong. Hopefully these ones will last. So now we're gonna put soap in there. You just put it in over top. I believe B is for powder. And then you select the mode right here. And then it's got a little screen here. I think it's 30 minutes. 28, so it goes really fast. The washing machine and dryer, these commercial units, they do a far better job than the, I guess, residential models that we used to have. We used to break one like every month or every 2 months one would break down. So we figured we'd finally bite the bullet on these things, and they've been working good so far. So we'll see how long these things last. Oh well, that is going to be it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. Check out the Instagram @SaskDutchKid, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.